say, yeah, his ego was hurt. And the whole time, I'm like, Taraji, I didn't have no issue. I didn't have no problem with you. If anything, I feel like she should have understood that I was talking directly to production. Because I know the situation that she was in. We was in it together. We was literally looking at the prompter and the teleprompter together. So I understand that it was nothing that she did. It just was a spare of the moment kind of thing. And I felt like she would understand that I wasn't coming from a place of attacking her.
Keith Lee has now discussed what happened that night for the first time since the unfortunate viral occurrence at the last BT Award. He also addressed a harsh message to the whole BET Awards production team for their unprofessional behavior in organizing the award presentation, in addition to blasting Taraji P. Henson for being shady and trying to ruin his reputation and set him up for disgrace. To ensure that the 2024 BET Awards are recognized as one of the most talked about events in history, please sit down and allow me to explain for those who might not have seen. In previous years, since it fell around the period of Taraji P. Henson's widely reported conflict with Oprah, as everyone remembers, a number of celebrities stood 10 toes behind her when it was revealed that she would be placed on a blacklist. She hosted the BET Awards again a few weeks later, and after one of her gaffes became one of the most talked about subjects of the evening, Taraji became viral on social media. The entire incident started during the performance when Taraji celebrated the visitors by giving them flowers. Walked to the front of the audience, but because of some mistake, she delivered Jordan the flower that was meant for Keith halfway through her teasing. Raji begged Jordan to give Keith the flowers that had been accidentally presented to him after realizing her mistake. The cameras were on Taji when the flower was handed to him, so he decided to put on a show and pretend that nothing was wrong, even though he apologized and tried to be funny. But the camera soon shifted away from him, and Keith recorded him in a since-deleted TikTok post. The flower that was flung to the ground with the statement, "Our name will be known in every room," when it's supposed to be how it's supposed to be with no confusion, written. God is amazing. The issue is that you have no control over how someone reacts when they are offended, and Taraji expressed regret to Keith after admitting her error. Keith was still angry since the whole situation suggested he wasn't. Keith had every right to react as he did because he was not a well-known person. He subsequently posted the video to his TikTok website to clarify what he had done when it became viral online.
Last night was the BT Awards, and right now, it's something on my mind. Let's talk about it. First and foremost, I want to start by saying I am not upset at Taraji P. Henson by any stretch of the imagination. And not only that, in my opinion, she smoked it last night. I don't think for one second Taraji had any ill will or any ill intentions behind the situation. The situation happened the way it did. It is what it is. I made a video last night where I had the rose that was given to me in my hand and I let it fall on the floor. The reason I did this had nothing to do with Taraji P. Henson. The reason I dropped it on the floor is that I wholeheartedly believe that wasn't my rose. That wasn't my rose. That wasn't my moment. It was given to me, but it wasn't mine. And I always say, I don't want nothing that ain't mine. I want what's meant for me, nothing less, nothing more. The entire segment on the production side felt extremely rushed. Not only did it feel rushed, it did not feel intentional. It did not feel purposeful. I'm forever thankful for every room that I'm in. I was more than thankful and more than grateful to just sit there.
Hours after the TikTok video of Keith dropping the flower, Taji posted a response on her Instagram page. "Life is too brief for this conduct," she remarked. "He wasn't sitting down. Stars are allotted seats. I spent the entire day practicing to hit my mark, and the young man wasted his opportunity because he wasn't in his seat. His pride is wounded, but he will recover. At the end of the show, I cleaned it up, but there is still love lost." But months after the regrettable BET Awards event, Keith Lee decided to talk openly about what transpired that evening in an interview at Shane and Sharp's Club Shay. Keith claimed that he explicitly refrained from discussing it because he wanted the excitement to fade and only brought it up if it affected his family or the business.
You did run into some controversy with Taraji P. Henson.
Oh, let's talk about it, Shannon.
What happened?
All right. So, again, these are things that I've never talked about, specifically because I like my family being on the forefront and I like the restaurant to be the main focus. The only time I do speak on it is when I feel like it's starting to affect my family or starting to affect the money that I bring in for my family.
Then talks about how his name is frequently brought up negatively, which made him hesitant to attend the award presentation, even though he had front row tickets with his family.
Front row tickets, we had the red carpet and all of that. I told her beforehand, the love that y'all say that y'all have for us, I don't feel it, because when y'all do mention us or y'all do bring us up in conversation, it's always the most negative thing that you can possibly talk about.
Oh.
It's always like the drama, or like, it's never like we went to a restaurant and we was blessed enough to leave thousands of people at a restaurant that was about to close tomorrow, or like anything that was positive, and is 90%, I would like to think, is 90% positive what we do, 10% of the bullshit.
Right.
And I feel like a lot of times it was the
After that, he talks about how badly the Bates Awards event was planned and how some of his employees had trouble getting seats to the show. Heath then said that he was seated just behind DC Youngflee and that he and his spouse had been selected for the first row. In the middle of the play, a production individual came on stage and declared that they would be changing his seats since they were going to a part when they would be giving out flowers to the audience.
We go to the award show. We sitting behind DC Young Fly. We sitting next to, what's his name? No, the original seats that we were in. We were sitting next to an older guy, and everybody was like being super rowdy, and me and him, we talking, we having conversations, we laughing with each other. I'm telling him like, you ain't gotta worry about my wife standing up and twerking. We sitting here, we enjoying the show.
Right.
We laughing, we having a ball. So it's probably halfway through the show, a person from BET walks up, or a person from production walks up, and she says, hey, we about to switch your seats in a minute because we're doing a episode, or we doing a segment to where we giving people their flowers, right? Mind you, I just talked to BET an hour ago, and I'm like, y'all don't have to do this. I'm okay sitting in these seats, having conversations with, I think his name was Dr. Bobby Jones. Now, yeah, we sit next to Dr. Bobby Jones. I'm like, this is more than enough for me. Like, I'm more than thankful just to be here. They like, no, we gonna sit you on the front row and we gonna give you your flowers, and we really wanna highlight you. We really wanna.
In the video, Keith explains why he threw the rose on the ground and why he blamed the entire Beats production team for the mistake rather than just Taraji, as the decision to distribute the roses was made at the last minute and Taraji wasn't really ready for it.
This is the biggest thing that I want to get throughout this whole story. I didn't blame Taraji for 1 second, because it was all production that was making things that didn't have to be made. She come over to us and she immediately walked past me, walked to Jordan, and she started talking to Jordan as if Jordan was me. And I'm reading the prompter, and the prompter is saying like, tell Keith Lee, give Keith Lee his flowers, this and the third. And she look at Jordan and she go, I bet you rate this award show 10 out of 10. And Jordan go, oh, no, that's him. They had she come over, she like, oh, my bad. She immediately start like improving, because again, this is a situation where it's a lot going on. So she starts saying like, you look good too. Even though my wife is sitting right here, she like, oh, you look good. Give him his flowers, this, that, and the third. And then she tell Jordan that he look good, and just a whole bunch of improv. She leave, me and Jordan looking at each other like, what just happened?
He then talked about how the video went viral, why he dropped the flowers on the floor, and why he deleted the video.
Now that I open my phone, literally when I say 5 seconds after it happened, I open my phone, be the #1 thing on Twitter. And it's like, Keith Lee looked so embarrassed. His wife looked humiliated, and his wife, she was flirting in front of his wife. She was this, that, and the third, and they was just dragging the situation out. And I took the rose that they gave me, I dropped it on the floor. The reason I dropped it on the floor, because this whole time, I'm like, that's not for me. That wasn't meant for me. What was meant for me was to sit there where I was sitting at and mind my business. When I dropped the rose, I was speaking directly to production. Like, don't do this again. If we gonna come and we're gonna enjoy the royal show, enjoy it how we had the conversation. Online, they just see, oh, he dropped the rose, he talking directly about Taraji. So they make it into a huge thing of like me disrespecting her, this and third. So I take the video down because I am a supporter of Black women, and I'm a supporter of us as a people. And to see her on stage killing it the way she killed it, I didn't want that to be clouded by the unnecessary bullshit. So I took the video down.
In addition to talking about the incident and the criticism he received, Keith also wanted to talk about his dissatisfaction with Taraji when she wrote the comment about how his ego was hurt.
So Taraji come out and she say, yeah, his ego was hurt. And the whole time, I'm like, Taraji, I didn't have no issue. I didn't have no problem with you. If anything, I feel like she should have understood that I was talking directly to production. Because I know the situation that you was in. We was in it together. We was literally looking at the prompter and the teleprompter together. So I understand that it was nothing that she did. It just was a spare of the moment kind of thing. And I felt like she would understand that I wasn't coming from a place of attacking her. But it was one of those things where it was like, it is what it is. I still got love for Taraji.
Insiders claim that because Keith admired Taraji, he decided not to express his affections for her on television. He chastised her for the comments, though, after the camera stopped recording, claiming that she ought to have understood that he had no ill will against her. The insider also revealed that Keith told Reggie that she fought Oprah for what she did to him and that he intentionally set him and his business up for drags because the comments hurt his reputation. Keith wasn't done. He also criticized the BET Awards production crew for acting like amateurs and putting on a show. Keith revealed that everything went wrong that night, from the delayed delivery of the tickets to the whole. Since Taraji P. Henson looks like a cool guy who tries to avoid drama and doesn't even want to go on TV unless absolutely necessary, I think Keith has every right to be furious with him and the BET production team. I'm pleased he's come to share his story, and I hope he and Taraji dispel any animosity they may have had. However, I also felt Taraji should have handled it better because the remark was needless and could have been avoided. Keith's announcement that he was still willing to work with BET went viral due to the show's lack of organization and the last-minute flower giving. Keith Lee slammed into Taraji P. I admire Keith Lee's demeanor. He doesn't even seem to get upset, which is the calm I seek in my soul. He appears really sincere, and everything he said made perfect sense, so I'm delighted he spoke. Is Keith Lee's rage at Taraji warranted, in your opinion, or should he let it go and go on? After you see this following video, let me know in the comments section below. Fans commented that Keith Lee and his wife appear like the loveliest, most genuine people after Henson's hurtful comments about him.